Hello, loves.
Hi.
You will notice I do have Ro with me today, but no Gavin. He's been incredibly busy and not had chance to pick the book up. So it just made sense for him not to be here, really, which is absolutely fair and entirely, fair. I am going to be honest. I have not reread this book. I had a butcher's on recap like midweek last week. Time just completely got away from me, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to recap this book because I have not got the time to pick it up now before the live show. So I am basing this off of a recap, but I remember the majority of it. So
I only finished it yesterday, so
nice.
I hopefully have some things I can remember that you'll be like, oh yeah.
Looks like Rose carrying this one. We will be discussing The Deal by Elle Kennedy, which I am excited about discussing. Cece has, as always, been an absolute angel and dropped the links for everything, including the link for Rose's channel and also Gav's. Go and check them both out. I think I have dropped them both in the description box as well, so please do go check them out. And we will be reading. I haven't read this one before. Thank fuck. We will be reading Ice Planet Barbarians for the month of October with a live show in November. That confuses the shit out of me every single time. I will mention that again at the end. But hello, how is everybody? What did you think of the book? Initial rating, non-spoilery to start off with, and then we will get into spoilers. Ro, thoughts on the book?
I give it 4 stars. Overall, nice. I went into it thinking it was a lot more like smutty erotica than it was. I think only because of the cover and just from what people had said. It was a lot more romance than I thought, like a traditional romance. I felt, at least. I think it married like the amount of smut very well with the amount of story, which I didn't expect because, like I said, I thought going in that it was going to be like smut, which I do like. Yeah, just like to clarify. But it did feel very much like a traditionally published book. Like
I think originally it was.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, it is. It's a tradition. It's published by Elle Kennedy. So,
well, there you are then. But in terms of along the lines of like something like, let's say, like Delilah Green or something that has like 90% story and say 10% as a smut here or there, I felt like this was more like 75-25.
Yeah,
I actually really liked the build up between them. I think that was very good. And usually I'm like, when I'm reading what I call smut, I'm like, right, when's the first scene? Because can we get on with it? But with this, I very much liked the slow kind of
Oh, nice. Yay. Nice. Well, it seems like everyone else really enjoyed it as well. We do have a 3-star here, but the majority have 4.5 stars, so that's awesome. Sounds like we had a good time with it. I am anticipating that this is going to be incredibly smutty. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, what, the Ice Planet Barbarians?
No, Jade's is With Vengeance for November by Freydis.
Okay.
Indie published.
I've not heard of that.
Yeah. I've never heard of it. She spotted it like on Twitter or something and was like, ooh, I wonder if I could suggest this to Steph for Cliterature. And I was like, only if you join me for the live show. She was like, yeah, sure.
Nice.
Bribery is finest. I was madly surprised and enjoyed it more than I thought. I have liked the author before, but not loved it. I gave it 4 stars. Nice. What did you think of like the sport element? It doesn't like overtake the book, does it? It's just kind of like a background thing that is a thing with him, and it's not like...
So like, I don't like sports. Like, full stop, don't like sports. I will not enjoy sport talk ever. If anyone starts speaking about sports, my brain just starts going blah, 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 blah. But it was very much like, I think his sports was talked just as much about as her music.
Yeah.
Which I very much enjoyed. They happened to be the hobbies or things that they were doing at uni. It wasn't a sports romance.
Yeah. And I think it kind of fleshes them out as characters a little bit as well, doesn't it? It gives them a bit more depth, which is nice and stuff.
Yeah, not just like, oh, he's hot. Like, he really cares about the sport, and he has obviously a lot of history and reasons why he got into it and things like that, and like emotion behind it. And emotion behind hers as well is like very, I feel like they were both fleshed out just as well as each other, which that doesn't always happen. In fact, I don't think it happens a lot.
No. I do agree with you. I also gave it 4 stars, I think, the first time. In fact, I should probably have checked that before I came on here. But as always, incredibly not organised. The deal, let's check, because I can't even remember when I read this, to be honest. It was probably last. Oh, I gave it 5.
I remember you reading it the first time, I think, and you like raving about it.
Yeah, 2020 I read it, June last year, so it's over a year ago, and I gave it 5 stars. To be fair, that makes way more sense, to be fair, because I really loved the series as a whole. I think there might be one in the middle that I gave like 4 stars, but I think the whole series got like 5.
Wait, 2020? Did you say 2020 you read it?
2021.
Oh, 2021. I thought you said 2020, and then you were like, last year. I was like, honey, that was 2 years ago.
It's a whole year. But yeah, I just didn't get a chance to pick it back up again, so
that's fair. I read the synopsis for the next one with Logan, and I was just like, I just don't care about it. I was like, I don't care about him.
That's fair. Yeah.
I don't know why. I was just like not interested.
I think my favorite is this one, and actually the last one. Okay. Because I really like. I can't remember what his name is in the last one, but I really like that one.
Dean or Tucker, one of them.
It might be. Oh, I can't remember. Dean's was a good one, but I actually didn't give that much of a shit about him as a character before I read his story. So
that's the thing. I think although this isn't a bad thing, his friends weren't fleshed out enough for me to want to read a book about them. I like that we had more of just Hannah and, oh my god, what's his name? Garrett. I like that we had more of them. I'm glad we didn't get to see much of the teammates, but they are all the same character to me.
Yeah.
Like, currently in my head, other than the one that already has a girlfriend called Birdie or whatever his name is.
Yeah. Tucker, it is the last one.
Yeah, I thought so.
Tucker. I quite liked his story, but I know a lot of people end up skipping that one, and I don't know why. And then she brought out a 5th one, unless that was like the 5th one or the 6th one. Yeah, so like she then brought out another one I think just last year or this year, which basically is like 3 years after they've all finished college, and it basically goes back to see where they're up to and how they're doing, all of them. So I think if you end up skipping one of them, you will cock yourself up for that like final book to go back and check in on them, because you'll be like, oh, I don't understand what happened here. 4 stars. Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad you enjoyed Balanced Well, Natural Paths, not filler. Yeah. Got notified since I love this book. Forgot the live was today. I do apologize. I have had really, really horrific squirrel brain since I got back off holiday, and I can't remember anything. I'm scheduling 2 videos to go up on the same day at the same time, so I'm cooking myself up with that. Just having a bit of a nightmare trying to sort myself out as I get back to normal. I'm not sleeping, so that isn't helping. Like, I've probably had a total of maybe, I don't know, 10 hours sleep since I got home last Friday. Not the Friday just gone, but the Friday before. So I'm just not sleeping at all. So trying to get my shit back together. I hope you do enjoy. It's really weird because I was going to do the audio for the deal, but then I realized that I have all of the other ones from the series on Audible because I already got them from the first time I read them, except the deal. And I was like, oh, typical.
Great.
What the hell did I do there? I want to read more about them. I like the friendship group. The lack of actual sports makes me put way less pressure on knowing everything about sports when writing my sports romances.
Nice.
Tucker was my favorite friend. I like the mother hen energy. Yeah. And I think I like that comes through in his book as well.
He's the one who cooks for them, right? Like,
yeah.
I did like that.
Definitely want to read more from the author, but I keep her in mind for the future since I have too many books to read. Yeah, that's fair. I have read a few. I've read quite a few others from her as well. I think, but with a combo with she does quite a bit with Serena Bowen. So she did Top Secret with Serena Bowen, which was male. That was really good. And she's also done Him and Us, which is again male hockey romance. Also very good.
Are we allowed to go into spoilers? I don't know what the
Yes. So we will go into spoilers now. So anybody that hasn't read it, you were just hanging out to see our initial thoughts on it, and you don't want to be spoiled because you're thinking about reading it. Peace out. We will see you when you come back to check us back out again. But yeah, we will go into spoilers now 100%. Shoot.
My first thing was, I think that the Cole guy, whatever his name was, Justin Cole, I think he was dropped very quickly and not thought about again for a long time.
Yeah.
That was my initial feeling.
Because I did the recap, I didn't get the full ins and outs about, obviously it's going to be because of Garrett, but was there another reason why she ended up just dropping him? I can't fully remember. So
the kind of timeline of things was she was like, I'm broken. She wants to practice with Garrett before Justin or whatever. And she's acting very nonchalant towards Justin. And then they start practicing. And she basically just forgets about him super quickly. Like, she doesn't even think about him. He asks her out before they start practicing for like the next Sunday. And she's like, yeah, sure. And then they start practicing and she literally does not have one thought. Not one thought was thunk about Jen. And then he finds out that she was going to go on a date with him, and then he kicks off and she's like, what the fuck?
Right.
So like she literally forgets about him.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if there was a thing where like she went on a date with him and it turned out he was actually a dick or something. So I just couldn't fully remember the ins and outs of why.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Okay. Fair.
Just like, oh, I don't like you anymore. Which is very realistic, not good inside.
Very true, yeah.
I don't want you anymore, actually.
I do have thoughts on the general background of Hannah and what happened to her, and that being literally on the first page. Did anybody else? The first time I read this, I was shook to my core that was literally mentioned on the first page in black and white, just there. And I was like, there has been no, I can't, let me just check the book because I don't think there's any heads up of a trigger. And it's literally on the first page written there. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about that because it's literally just written there on the first page. And I was like, surely it'd like, I don't know. I don't get me wrong. It's good to know it from the off, I suppose. But I know a lot of people that have DNF'd this on page one because of that. And I'm like, just go into it because it is. I know that I think Amanda, Egyptian Spirit, her partner Mike, I think he DNF'd it pretty early on because of it. And I was like, it does play into the story very, very heavily, and it is important. But I don't know whether I felt a bit icky about the fact that it was literally just mentioned there on the first page with no heads up.
Yeah, it would have been good to have, considering it's published by herself. There was no like stopping her putting just a trigger warning just before.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. I did like, though, how I know the situation between Hannah and Garrett is weird. Like the whole, like, she's helping him up his GPA so he can carry on playing hockey, and he's helping her in the bedroom. And it is a very bizarre situation, I suppose, to make that kind of deal. But also, I don't know, I kind of like the way that Garrett dealt with it. I think that he dealt with that situation really, really well. And the whole, I don't know, I just thought the sex scenes were written really, really well. And the whole, like, she starts first and then he will come in when she's comfortable with it. And I was like, I just feel like Elle's written this incredibly well.
I felt it was very relatable. Sometimes sex scenes are just like almost like porn, which I mean, you know, that's fine. But like most of the time, sex scenes especially in erotica or in smut, are very just like porn-like, and it's very detached from the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas then if you pivot to the other side of like traditionally published romance books, I feel like there's not enough steam and not enough frank like language used, like you know, velvet wrapped steel and all that. Like there's not enough frank language used. This was like the perfect middle of like, this is something that I myself have done and like felt these exact things, and it's not like you know, crazy out of this world porn and not realistic, and it's not too chaste, which I think traditional romance is too chaste. Like I think it was a very nice in between.
Yeah, it is very realistic and relatable, isn't it? And true to life. I think this is something I always say actually about romance books, like especially the porn ones, if you like, that I love reading super smutty books, is that they're great, but it's all a fantasy, because in reality,
It never
it's
happened.
especially when you sleep with someone new, it's very clumsy. It's all, you know, limbs are fucking everywhere. Nothing is as easy as they make it out to be, like in the movies or in the book. And I'm like, when is somebody gonna write a realistic sex scene in a book? Because this isn't realistic. This is too perfect. And it's never like that. And I think Elle's is a little bit more lean into the realistic side of that a little bit. So
Like that.
yeah.
I think I would read the sequel simply because I like her writing. It's not even that I care about the friends. Like I want to read the sequels because I enjoy the way she writes sex scenes and the way she the way she wrote the relationship as well. I thought it happened very naturally, and the pacing was very good in terms of when they got together, the things that were happening.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of have to for this one, since I passed the essential to the story. Yeah, agree about Justin. And Hannah suddenly felt weirded out by Justin, and he did nothing. It was such a random.
He also at one point says to her, like, what the fuck? And she's like, sorry, yeah, can we just be friends?
No, that's the worst. Realistic again, though, like totally realistic. I like the fact as well that it's not done. Elle's not just gone, you know what, we're going to make Justin an asshole in the end. Like, let's take her out on a date, but he's a dick. And so she fucks him off and she goes with Garrett anyway. She's just like, realistically, she's asked Garrett for this favor. She's ended up falling for him and gone, oh shit. It was an infatuation I had with Justin. I wasn't actually into him or whatever. Like, I don't know. Again, realistic.
It is.
But the whole subplot of Coke was weird. It seemed like she was building him up to be a really bad villain, and then it was just dropped very easily. Was this for Justin?
What Coke?
Obviously I haven't reread it, so I can't fucking remember, but
building her up to be a really bad villain.
Yeah, remind us, Erin, of what that was. I think she was just so happy that Garrett was able to make her come that she thought it was maybe just him that she liked and was able to let go with. Yeah.
True.
Again, very realistic thing, because it is more difficult for women than it is for men. So I think when you get that comfortable with someone and, you know, you have that reaction with them.
It's so realistic. And like, I know we all know, because I assume we're all, well, I shouldn't assume, but majority of this live show is probably women. Let's be honest. But like, it's so mad, like how many men I speak to, and they're just like so oblivious and think that that's like quite rare. Like they're like, oh well, no, I know some women like have that issue. It's like, no, quite a lot actually do.
Yeah.
Because you suck as well.
They've no idea. They're convinced they're like an absolute god in the bedroom, and turns out that's not the case. We're just very good at faking it. Also shocked. Yeah, I kind of like that it was mentioned in the beginning, so no long-winded reveal. I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't used as like a shock factor or a twist, which I do like. It was just like, this is a fact, and this is how it's affected her. I do like that.
Yeah, it is good in that respect. But again, I don't know, trigger warnings weren't as common when it came out, which is fair. Yeah. which honestly makes me appreciate that it was on page 1 so people can tap out if they need to. And to be fair, that's a very good way of looking at it, yeah. I think it was just the shock factor for me. I read it and I was like, oh shit. And I think I immediately went to Goodreads to see what other people were saying and nobody mentioned it. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just me then that's picked up on it. Like, it's not a trigger for me at all. But my immediate thought was this could really, really trigger someone. It's literally on page 1 with no indication whatsoever. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, no one else is fussed. So maybe it's just me, but didn't bother me, but I feel like I knew it before going in. I'm trying to remember now if it's mentioned on the back.
Someone said something in the synopsis just says she has baggage.
Yeah, it does say she's carrying around a full set of baggage when it comes to sex and seduction. So I suppose you just read into that what you do, don't you? Yeah. It was nice to see that he was there for her, even being there during the party so she could drink and not be afraid.
That scene is honestly one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Where he stays sober and she drinks the whole night and she's at karaoke and all this. Like, I just felt like my heart was just so full. I was just like,
yeah.
Yes.
We love a good supportive partner, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Erin meant coal, not coke. I was like, was there cocaine in
I was like, wait, what? There was drugs in this book?
Yes. I was like, I don't remember.
Okay, rereading it, I thought the whole subplot of Cole was weird. It seems like she was building him up to be a really bad villain, then he's just dropped very easily. Fair.
I do kind of agree with the bad villain thing because from Garrett's perspective, he kept thinking to himself, like, Cole's a bit of an asshole. Like, he plays girls and like this and that. Like, he was saying, like, I don't get why she likes him. Like, she doesn't even know him. He puts on this facade that she doesn't even see. And then again, he never says that to Hannah in person. He never says anything like that. So it just kind of gets dropped. So I kind of get what you mean, Erin, as in, like, he was kind of built up to be like, oh, is he going to do like an asshole thing? But then nothing really happened. He just got dropped.
Yeah. That's totally fine. Just got a little confused for a second there. I like how the characters felt so real and alive and that it feels so realistic because of that. Yeah. She's done a really good job, to be fair. I think the author should have trigger warnings somewhere, at least on a website. I don't tend to need trigger warnings, but I want them to be easy to find. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. For that women have been through that, so it'd be more unrealistic not to have a character who has. And even those that aren't are the ones that are likely faced harassment. I think she dealt with it really well, to be fair. Like, I've read books before where the female character has been through that and they are getting on with their life and they're just life. And they are very sexually active and it doesn't really get mentioned too often. And then I've had people like seeing reviews where people have gone, it just doesn't seem realistic. Like, if you've gone through that, surely you wouldn't be acting that way. And I know people deal with it in different ways, but again, not to keep repeating myself, but I feel like this was dealt with very realistic. Like, it's still there in the back of her mind and she does still struggle with it. She's very anxious about it and she therefore wants someone to practice with, I suppose, that she's got no ties to in the bedroom with Garrett, because she has the thing for Justin and then it turns out ending up being a thing, which
I did kind of like how frank she was about it, because like when she first tells Garrett, he kind of starts to fall into the almost like pity trap.
Yeah.
And she basically like straight tells him like, no, it happened. Like, yes, it's affected me, but like we can say the word, like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about it. It's okay. It's horrible, but like, you know, it is what it is.
She's proper like survivor mentality, isn't she? And I think that's great.
I think that's very realistic as well, because well, at least for me, I think relatable. I think I'm very much like, well, this is a thing that's happened.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And they weren't even doing anything at that point.
Yeah. Love a supportive friend. partner. I wanted to hate this because of the whole female drama with Kennedy, but I actually ended up enjoying this. Oh, I didn't know there was some drama with Kennedy.
No, I've not heard anything.
Ooh. I hate when it's used as a plot device for a sad backstory rather than showing the repercussions of it and healing afterwards. I liked how this book showed some of them more latter. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. I think having it page 1 is better than halfway through. Yeah. I agree. I think it was just the shock factor that it was just literally there on the first page for me, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I like the mention of therapy, and I like the mention of a therapist coming up a lot as well.
Yeah.
To normalize it.
It's important, isn't it? Yeah, I think it was really good. I am gutted that I just didn't find the time to be able to pick this up again before the live show, because I really did want to reread it. Wanting to reread them all before I pick up the Legacy so that I know the stories again with them all, because it's been a while, because I read these back to back, but it is what it is.
I will say it read very quickly. I don't know if it's short, because I read it on Kindle. So I have no idea how long it is.
360 pages.
I read it very quickly, and it was across the weekend because I read. What did I do? I went to London on the weekend and I read it entirely on the weekend, and even though I was going out and doing things, so I don't know. To be fair, I was reading it on the train and stuff, but that's not super long.
I think the first time I read it, it must have been on Kindle. And that's probably, again, why I flew through it, because I think it used to be on Kindle Unlimited. I don't think it is anymore since she brought paperbacks out. But
I think it did used to be, but when I went on my look for it, I knew I had it either with Kindle Unlimited or something, because I remembered seeing it on my Kindle. But when I went to look, I had bought it for but it was only like £1.80 or something like that at the time. So I was like, oh, okay, I've got it already. It's fine.
Yeah. Hello, love. Welcome. About 12 hours for the audio, yeah.
That's pretty long.
Yeah. Well, the book itself is like a taller paperback. It's like a proper indie one. But the text is a reasonable size, though, as well. So
yeah, that's pretty big. I prefer these covers with the girl on the cover rather than the naked man.
Yeah.
As much as I love a naked man, not on my. I was literally reading next to an old woman on the way there, and I was like, I hope she doesn't glance over at my.
I was like that on my way down to Yalk. I had the "Don't be a dick" whatever-thon bookmark in my book, and I had it on the table next to me while I was reading my book, and this old man came and sat down next to me, and I was just like, I'm just going to turn that over. Just "Don't be a dick" sat next to him. Found a 360-page romance is much faster read than a 360-page in other genres. Yeah. Just romance in general is always a quick read, isn't it?
Yeah.
Audio is quick too. So glad it was free the day I got it.
Nice.
Bonus. Read it last year and got it for free, I think. Nice.
Pretty good.
Nice. Who doesn't like a naked man? Also, I liked it that he's with his stepmother. I love that says stepmother. I got the red flag signs for domestic abuse right away during that Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, I do remember that one really, really vividly, actually. I do remember that, and I do think it's really good that he, rather than just leaving her to it and being like, well, it's her own fucking fault, just being like, you know what? No, we're going to help her.
I feel like it made me really think into the fact that she had requested him be there. Was that a cry for help? Was that, it made me really think about the fact, okay, she's asked if he can be there. And she was so obviously talking to, when she talks to Hannah about it in the kitchen, she's very obviously bitter and being well, he doesn't let me go out and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's just done so well from both sides, the essay side of things with Hannah and the domestic abuse side of things with Garrett. It was just written so well and so realistically and dealt with really well.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn, these guys have been through shit. Like this,
Yeah.
it just felt so real.
Yeah. I really do enjoy these books as a whole. And I have read, again, like I say, from Elle Kennedy before. I just really do enjoy her writing style. I think she does a really good job. Highlander novel row.
I don't know what you mean. I know what Highlander is, but I don't know what you're referencing.
The old lady probably read a Highlander novel.
Oh.
Makes a bit more sense. Agree with the stepmom. Stepmom. Gotta start calling them stepmoms now.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Think, like, what else took place? I did like the whole drama with the Cass, the guy that was like being a dick about the duet. Like, I did actually kind of enjoy that, but I wanted there to be a full argument. I was like, I want to witness a murder.
Turn this into a thriller, for God's sake. Romantic suspense, yes, please.
And I liked that she did, even it was a bit cliche, like she won the scholarship, like, oh, like, but it was just like, oh, she deserves it.
It is nice to get a happy ending when the books is, as I don't want to say dark, because it wasn't particularly dark, I would say, but it's got dark elements in it, so
yeah,
it is nice to get a happy ending.
I guess that's why it felt like she deserved it. Like, she'd been through so much, and obviously her family is struggling with money because of the things as well. And so it was just nice to see someone winning that deserved to win. Because when, as much as I'm actually a big fan of like the character archetype of like spoiled rich girl, like I just really enjoy it. But like there is something about that underdog getting, the prize, or getting the girl, or getting the boy in the end. Like that's like, they deserve that. They've been
through hell and back. Yeah.
It's very heartwarming.
I agree. Sometimes you find yourself at the end of the book going, oh, I just fucking knew that was going to happen. And you're like rolling your eyes and you're like, what a cliche. I feel like in this one, you're like, no, you know what? If anyone deserves it, it's her.
Exactly, yeah. And I really liked her. I know this is going to sound possibly misogynistic. I don't mean it to sound that way, but I think it's the way romances are written sometimes. The girls can be very two-dimensional and like almost like a self-insert, right? Like I guess they're written that way deliberately sometimes. It's like so you can place yourself in that place, which is obviously fine. But like this just felt so like I knew Hannah and I wanted to be friends with her and I wanted to get to know her, which I don't think I've had for a while in reading something. So
yeah. I always sit and think about that, to be fair. This Hannah's character in general can come back to me quite often in me sitting there thinking, I would love to be friends with that girl. Like sometimes I'll read a book and I'll sit there and I'll think, this character is hilarious and I would love to be friends with them, but it doesn't like stick with me after I've finished the book. Like, oh fucking hell, Delilah Green doesn't care. The wild, not Delilah and not her
Iris
partner.
Iris is her sister's friend.
Iris. I'm really excited for her book because I've not been able to stop thinking about her. She's absolutely wild. And I'm like, I could totally be friends with this girl. I'm such an introvert, but this girl will totally bring the extrovert out in me. Like, she's an absolute wild card. But similar thing with like Hannah, I always sit there and I just think she seems like such a down-to-earth girl and so nice and like a solid friend.
Definitely. That's the reason I'm excited for the Delilah Green sequel, because it's spoiled rich bitch.
Yeah. Maybe she thought the father would behave with guests around. Yeah. She's just looking for a night off.
Yeah, please, God.
What did you all think of the confrontation scene where the bad guy's friend who took up for them was at the hockey game?
So this is when the guy who sexually assaulted her, he had 3 friends that lied on his behalf. One of them was at the hockey game, the away game, and Garrett punched him in the face.
I totally forget that happened.
Yeah, and he kind of lost it. Like he just saw red and like didn't even think, and he got like a 1-game suspension, which he knew and was saying like, I should have had way more than that.
Yeah.
And that's when after that they break up, and we haven't even got to that bit yet. They break up, and he thinks it's because he lost his shit, and like the violence, and like the Thanksgiving had already happened, or yeah, it was Thanksgiving. So he was like, I know it's because of this, like you think I'm violent, you think I'm this, and she was like, no, I just want to see other people.
Right.
What do we think of like the plausibility? Oh well, sorry, let's discuss this first.
Again, just not to keep repeating myself, but probably realistic. I've got to be honest. I think something like that happened to me, and then Andy saw one of his friends who had lied about it. I can guarantee you, Andy would not be able to keep his shit.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it. I think it's pretty realistic that he went over and
yes, I wasn't really like shocked or like, oh my god, he shouldn't have done that or anything.
Yeah.
Very much like, yes, bitch. You get that shit, get banged. Like
yeah. God, I haven't heard that in so long. What a throwback.
But what do you think about the plausibility of like the dad trying to blackmail her and then her not telling him anything? Because I don't think I would be able to do that. I think I would just tell them straight away. I know it was like it was trying to lean on the fact of like, even if she told him, he'd pick the relationship and then he'd have to work, and she doesn't want him to do that. But I would just tell them and be like, is there a way we can work around this? Can we pretend not to go out? Like,
yeah.
My logical brain would be like, let's just pretend not to be together. We can text. How is he going to know if he goes over her house or like whatever?
Yeah.
He's not going to know.
I don't know, because I've seen this in a couple of books now where this has happened.
Yeah.
And again, the person always ends up following through with the bribe and stuff. But I always sit down and go, just fucking tell them. Like, but I don't know if that's just whether like, because me and my relationship, I would just tell Andy. I mean, his mum would never, but if his mum ever tried to bribe me to leave him, I would just tell him. After saying that, I suppose it's subjective, because I would probably always also question it, because he is a mummy's boy, and he will not believe a word said against his mum. Now, his mum's an awesome person, and I absolutely love his mum. Shout out to Helen if you're watching. That's terrifying if you are. I love you. But she's awesome, and she would never do something like that anyway. But he would not believe for a second that she would. I mean, on the basis that she wouldn't anyway. If I said that to him, he would like, yeah, you're talking out, you fucking asshole. Why are you talking about my mum this way? Do you know what I mean? So I suppose it is relative to the situation. Maybe Hannah's got herself in a situation in her head where she's like, if I don't do this, it's getting Garrett in trouble, but am I in danger as well? And she's been through enough, and I don't know, but I know what you're saying. Similarly, I would also be like, I should just fucking tell him. Like,
I don't see like a reason to not tell him, like a strong enough reason. Like, I get the initial thoughts of like, oh god, I should like. First, it's scary. This man is violent, and you don't know what he's gonna do. I understand that also. And then secondly, the initial reaction is probably to just go, oh god, okay, like fine. And like she was saying like things like, but then also I don't get why he wouldn't have mentioned, oh, when I'm turning 21 in like 2 weeks, I get a trust fund, so I don't even have to deal with my dad anymore. Isn't that great? Like with someone, and they said they love each other and stuff. Like, I don't know. It was never mentioned that he was funny about money or anything, or like insecure about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why had he not mentioned, oh, by the way, money's dropping on New Year's Eve. Like,
check me out.
I just find it unrealistic that he wouldn't have mentioned it even in passing. And then it doesn't really affect it for me though. I mean, that's probably what dropped the star.
Yeah.
Little things like that like overall built up.
Miscommunication, the miscommunication trope bothers the life out of me. If there's no reason for it to happen, don't fucking do it. But maybe the other side of it though, if you flip the coin, it could be a case of like he's thinking, I mean, it's not in Hannah's nature anyway, but again, it was never even brought up as a subject, if I remember correctly, that oh, well, I'm not going to mention to her about the trust fund because maybe what if she stays with me just because more money? Like, was it ever mentioned on that side of things or not? No. Okay,
No,
so
literally,
it's not even a thought in his head then.
Yeah,
It's
he
just
didn't even think about it.
Yeah. Fair. Miscommunication at its finest. It is very terrifying. Yeah. Elle made the choice to have him not punished, and Hannah still moving forward is hopeful for those with similar outcomes. Absolutely. I do think that this book could be, despite the triggers in it, a very good book for a survivor. Do you know what I mean? And someone that's going through that and trying to bring themselves back from something like that, a situation like that. Because I do think it is a very good, hopeful book from that kind of situation.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Really thought the characters would develop well, different hobbies and personalities, abuse-related traumas, and they were still likable. I also like that they developed together. Yeah. And they pushed each other as well. It was like a proper supportive relationship. Like, I really liked that. She was there for him with his hockey. He was there for her with her music. I totally forgot about that as well. Yeah. Kind of expected Garrett to pay off the lawyer fees for Hannah's family or somehow put the man who assaulted her back on trial at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of set up that way a little bit. Like, so I feel like a lot of things were maybe set up that she just decided not to do at some points. Like with the girl
Similarly.
being an asshole or like
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember now though whether or not this little part of the story kind of carries on with the other books or not. So
okay.
it could do. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Maybe it does.
Yeah. Or it could come back around again in Legacy, which is the final book that goes back and looks at them all 3 years later. So worried she would let him believe she didn't like him because of violence.
I felt
That
so
would be
bad.
the worst. Yeah. I would have hated that. Bit too much. Wanted Hannah to tell Garrett and they pretend to break up. Get one over in his dad instead of running over and split up. Yeah. If she'd known about the money, she could have been like, okay, let's just pretend until the money comes in. Do it that way around, you know. Was not down for her to solidify his trauma or use it against him. That would have been hard to forgive. Yeah.
Yes, just add another trope in.
It's kind of ruined the book for me. Just talk to him. Fair. I'm glad it didn't go on for 100 pages. Garrett caught me down quickly.
Like that, I feel like that did subvert the trope slightly because I really hate the breakups at 90% of the way through the book. Like, it really fucks me off. Like, it just doesn't need to be done. And every time I've read it, which I haven't read a lot of romance books, but every time I have, I've just been like, it's not been realistic enough for me to think that it's worth breaking up.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So then the fact it almost subverted the trope where he like, okay, he was sad and upset for like a day or whatever, or I think he said a week, and then he was like, very obviously she's not breaking up with me for that reason because she's not even dating anyone.
Yeah.
So like, I really did like that she brought that element to like change it up a bit and it not just be like, oh, poo poo, like they're broken up kind of thing.
Yeah. You'd have to be too much of a narcissist. I don't think it was realistic that she then didn't speak to Garrett about it.
I think he was that much of a narcissist.
Yeah. I think from his dad's point of view, I think it is credible. I don't think it's credible that she doesn't speak to him, though.
Agreed.
I liked how Garrett didn't give up on her, though, and didn't do the unusual bed hopping to move on. He was determined they would get back together. Yeah.
I did like this. And then when she walks into the changing rooms to go tell him off for like doing the hands off to everyone. When she like approaches, who is it? Someone else, Jimmy or whatever. And he's like, he's like, do you want to grab coffee? He's getting coffee. And he's like, sorry, I don't like coffee.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh.
I did like that little funny section.
Whenever I think of a woman walking into a change room, a Cinderella story always comes straight to the forefront of my mind every single time. If the third act breakup wasn't so standard to the genre, I think she would have just told him. Yeah. It's the 80% derailing every romance book. Like that Garrett didn't believe Hannah's motives and kept chasing her. I think it was just for the genre and not realistic.
But the rest of it was so realistic, so it that's why it jutted out, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like stab at you.
Yeah. I do hate it in romance books when the man, like, when even the woman, when they just go off and just fucking sleep with someone else just to be like, well, fuck you then. Like, I mean, I get it, again, realistic, but it does, it winds me up to no end. I'm
Not
like,
when the aim of the story is they're obviously going to get back together.
Yeah. I like that he never believed her and knew something was up. I don't like when they write off the entire relationship and think the person they're in love with could be so cruel to manipulate them the whole time. Yeah. I believe people say Elle is, because she said she won't write female but has written male, but has used female as a fetish. Oh.
Good to know.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that before.
Yeah, I'll have a look into it, I think.
Yeah. Oh dear. In a way, you kind of have to suspend reality when reading romance. True story.
Yeah.
The shower scene.
When he's in the changing room.
Yeah.
And the coach comes in and he's like, what's going on? It's very good.
Oh, I'm so glad everyone enjoyed it, and I'm glad you enjoyed it as well, Ro.
Yeah. I mean, I love like smut, but usually a lot of let's say Kindle Unlimited romance tends to be like a 3-star at most.
Yeah.
So it was pleasantly surprising, I think, for me.
I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Always a bonus. Any other comments specifically made for the book?
Only that I do think I'd want to read the sequels, but I don't own them, so it probably wouldn't be anytime soon.
Fair. They are good, though. I would recommend.
Maybe if I see them come on deal on Kindle or something. Deal.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest. It doesn't help that I haven't reread the book, but that's me. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. The next book is going to be Ice Planet Barbarians. We're getting some monster romance going.
I've read that one.
I'm excited. I'm a little bit nervous that I might hate it, and I'm going to be the odd one out.
The beginning is dog shit, and then the rest of it is all right.
Okay, cool. I think I'm going to listen to the audio at the same time because it's on script, so... The audio is like 5 hours. How is that even physically possible with a book this long?
I have no idea.
That makes no sense, does it?
No, it doesn't. Unless she reads really fast.
The book's like 305 pages.
Maybe she's a fast reader.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Could be. So this is October's book. We'll be discussing it in November. I think I'll be discussing it with Pris and Bobby, and I think we have a date of the 2nd of November, if I remember correctly, is an early one. So
nice.
Yeah. But thanks for hanging out with us. Abby, I've just seen that you've come in. Oh. I'm so glad you've enjoyed. We're starting the second one soon. This one was good. I love the self-serving scene.
Yeah.
When she wasn't comfortable with him doing it yet. Same. I love that.
I always like something a little bit different in a sex scene as well. I feel like a lot of it can be like samey.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. I think this might actually be one of the first books that I'd read a scene like that as well, with Eve Brown being another one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still need to watch that one.
Yeah. Have all the books on hold at my library. I just got to wait a few months.
I might check my library.
Yeah, good shout. I'm not rereading Planet Barbarians, but I'll watch the live show. I think most people... Yeah, I think most people will have read it. But...
Yeah, I was going to say it is another trigger warning for sexual assault in...
Thank you for letting me know this, though. I do appreciate that. was on the third book was super problematic with the way infertility was used. Ooh.
Oh. Ooh. Wait, yeah, maybe they are on script. I feel like I remember on script as well.
Could be worth a look. Heard she's improved since though, and her new stuff isn't problematic. Love her writing style, so may try her newer series. Nice. Want to read all the sequels?
Oh, they're literally all on script.
Nice. Bonus.
Well, when I need a... Oh, wait. Unavailable for number 3 and 4, it says. Number 2's on there, though. At least, so...
At least you can read the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bonus. Right, well, I think that's everything, isn't it? We've covered everything.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, Ro, and for joining me on this one.
You're very welcome.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us and chatting with us about the book. I'm glad everyone pretty much generally enjoyed it. So, Million Kisses in Your Lifetime potential for next year.
Ooh.
Sold this week. I am thinking about coming in potentially tomorrow as well, Abby, if you're in work. So
I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you started that sentence. I was like,
Abby works at my local Waterstones.
Oh, nice.
Thanks for the stream. Have a good day, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to those of you in Canada today.
Oh.
Yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And don't forget to like the video. I would appreciate it. I caused an absolute shit show on Saturday for my videos, so thank you for being here. And we shall see you all very, very soon for another chat.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye.